reading out of Return to Elysium. It is one of Joan Grant's farm memory books. This is about her life as Lucina. It starts in Greece, and she's now 17 or so, maybe a bit older, and she is in Rome because she wanted a change and she wanted to explore. This chapter is entitled Attic Vase. Chapter 8. I had left a message with Tyro to say I would try to be home early and that I hoped to see Narcissus and Epicurus before I went to bed. I had wanted to tell them that the slaves were free and to ask them to forgive me for having been so difficult. But it was the priestess who came back to the villa, deeply angry with Narcissus. Just before Nigellus left me, I discovered the name of the foreigner who dominated his son. Marcus is besotted about this Greek, Nigellus had said. He is a man of culture like most of your countrymen, and I must admit that I welcomed him to my house. At first I thought he came to see Flavia, and was not displeased. Most Romans would consider it unfortunate if their daughter married a foreigner, but I am only concerned that she shall find happiness. And happiness is a rare bedfellow in this city. I had heard that Salonius worked with a Greek woman. Perhaps that is why I sought him instead of some other physician. The boy is enamored of Greece, but I'm not sure whether it is only because he echoes every opinion expressed by Narcissus. Narcissus. Surely there must be other Greeks of the same name? What manner of man is he? I said, trying to sound casual. He lives with an invalid sister and another man in a modest property, but they appear to be people of wealth. What is the sister like? Narcissus told me she suffers from some illness which keeps her secluded. They brought her to Rome hoping to find a cure, but they have been disappointed. His concern for her made me think he would be a good husband for Flavia, which showed a lamentable lack of insight into the less attractive aspects of Greek culture. Lucina, what can I do to help Marcus? I had to think very quickly. Somehow I must make Narcissus promise not to see the boy again. I must never let him realize how deeply I was concerned. I had been proud of truth, and now I had to lie to the men who were most important to me. I'd been able to make Nigellus believe that it was not unusual for me to ask for 7 days in which to consider his problem. I think he was not reluctant for this opportunity to arrange a second meeting. I waited on the terrace until the sky was streaked with dawn, listening for the sound of a chariot. It was useless to wait any longer. Narcissus would not be in the mood to accept my appeal at this hour, for even a Greek cannot attend a Roman banquet and retain a clear mind. There were no lights in the villa, but one of the boys drowsed in the forecourt, waiting to take the horses to their stable. He stood up when I passed, though I had tried not to wake him. We smiled at each other, and I was reassured because he was no longer afraid to have been found asleep. I woke to hear Narcissus stumble towards his room, so he was very drunk. I should send for him during the morning and find him at a disadvantage. I deliberately chose to have the first meal served on the terrace in the full sunlight, instead of under the vine pergola. I knew Narcissus was too proud of his capacity for wine to admit he did not feel inclined to follow it with goat's milk and fish fried with garlic. There was a greenish tinge to his skin, which gave me a certain malicious pleasure. He and Epicurus found it amusing that I accepted the role of the invalid for their convenience. It would be their own fault if they had forgotten that I could also be a woman of discernment. No appetite this morning, Narcissus. I hope you're not suffering from fever. I hear it is particularly severe this summer. There's nothing wrong with me, he said crossly, but I presume you asked me to join you for some better reason than to make futile inquiries about my health. My insight must be infectious, no doubt. With this new faculty, you already know what I wish to say. If you're going to talk in riddles at home as well as in your professional capacity, I shall go back to bed. An oracle would be intolerable under the same roof. As the roof belongs to the oracle, the choice for her guests should not be difficult. Their welcome is absolute, unless they find the laws of hospitality uncongenial. Narcissus leant back in his chair. What's the matter with you this morning? You sent for me almost before I've had time to go to sleep, and then you try to be deliberately tiresome. Can't you vent your anger on one of the slaves and leave me in peace? We have no slaves, I said calmly. I freed them yesterday. Don't be silly, Lucina. I heard Portia singing in the kitchen and Tyro brought me your message. No summons would be a more accurate description. Tyro and Portia and the others will continue to work here, providing that you treat them with respect. If they leave us because they find you intolerable, you will have to buy your own slaves or learn to look after yourself. Lucina, what are you talking about? Must you be clever so early in the morning? Have you lost all sense of decency? We will not concern ourselves with the way the household is run. That, after all, is the concern of your little sister, who will continue to be docile so long as you do what she wants. Well, what do you want? I would grant any request this morning if you could buy me release from this interminable conversation. He passed his hand over his forehead and shuddered. Dear sister, can I ask for your clemency in the matter of this revolting dish which offends my nostrils with a stench of garlic? May I tell Tyro to remove it, to bury it, to give it to the swine, to throw it in the river, anything rather than I should continue to suffer its salt? Tyro was looking out of the window of the main room, and I called to him. The Lord Narcissus is not feeling in full health this morning. He finds the smell of fish disturbing. So will you take it away, but dispose of it so that Portia will not think us unappreciative? With extreme gravity, Tyro removed the offending dish, but I hope that Narcissus noticed the smile in his eyes, a smile intended for me to share. How glad I am that you are not inclined for futile argument, Narcissus. It will save us both needless conversation. You have agreed to grant any request I may choose to make. In gratitude, I will escort you to your room, where the pillow waits to comfort your aching head. You will not see Marcus, son of Nigellus, again. We are agreed? He stood up, leaning on the table. But you know about Marcus. We don't interfere with you, and I'll thank you to leave me to manage my own life. When I need advice from the oracle, I'll come to the temple, and I'll find you a very old woman, for by then I shall be senile. I wish the courtesies to be maintained, so I made a request. But it is an order, Narcissus. Do you understand, an order? And if I refuse, you will cease to be my concern. Therefore you will not occupy my house, nor eat my food, nor ride in my chariots. We no longer have slaves, but no doubt you will find ways of buying some for yourself. What possible interest have you in Marcus? He sneered. Surely the famous priestess can use her talents to better effect than in trying to seduce a boy who's impervious to the deceits of women. No doubt when I decide, or if I decide, to take a lover, I shall not find the task unduly difficult. Lucina with a lover. I will believe that when I see one of the statues expose the doubtful enticements which folds of marble so fortunately conceal. You will never take a lover, Lucina. You have not the courage. You only exist through your facility to dominate. You know that you would lose everything if you allowed yourself to believe anyone superior. I think you would bite the coins that Zeus gave you if he became so besotted that he mistook you for a swan. Your mythology is at fault. However, that is hardly surprising, for you are in no condition to display intelligence or the most elementary recognition of your circumstances. I give few orders in this house. I play the role of the docile sister with commendable patience. But you will not see Marcus again, for reasons which are adequate and no doubt beyond your comprehension. Let it be sufficient that I consider it better if Rome remains free from certain Greek customs. I find it amusing that you should consider the pose of outrageous virtue at all convincing. If you suckle a child on Falernian, is it surprising that it becomes a pupil of Dionysus? You are right in thinking that I fear women, for I see them in you and in myself. You are ruthless, as no man is ruthless. You are cold and clever, and have a hideous wisdom, which taught me that even the revels of Olympus fall into embarrassed silence when Athena enters. You are worse than Julia, the mother of Marcus, who caused him to hate women. There are many women in Rome. Must I be blamed for their deficiencies? You taught me to despise them, to expect the standard of conversation, which was usual in Elysium. I see the peevish toilet behind the smooth painted cheek, the endless preoccupation with trivialities, which has caused the exact folds of a dress, the greed which has inspired a banquet. You made me see all this. You broke the cup from which I might have drunk a sweet illusion. You are unfair. I never bother to use face paint except when I'm in the temple, and you have never seen me there. You choose my clothes. Have I ever complained about them? Have I ever blamed Portia if the food was badly cooked? No, Lucina, but you made me see what other women value, and made me know I cannot accept their currency. You were clever, so very much too clever to be content with love. I liked women when we came to Rome. I enjoyed the few banquets we attended as obscure foreigners, when we were grateful for even a casual invitation because we could eat without worrying about the tallies that were mounting against us in the food shops. I laughed with you when you mimicked the matrons and showed us the silly little thoughts which lurked under the polished facade of eager virgins. I used to be in love with you, and when I found that you preferred Cleon, I tried to find a woman like you, a woman with the mind of a man housed in a body I was free to love. I was fortunate I never found your equal. No man can be happy married to a goddess, for men are not ashamed of being human. I don't try to be a goddess. Can't you understand that I have to pretend to be more than I am, so that no one of us will ever be afraid of poverty again? Do you want to go back to the time when we were always afraid and had to be so terribly gay to hide it from each other? It is better to be hungry for food than for power. You will never have enough power to satisfy you. It is a fearful appetite gnawing away at your heart, always making increasing demands that have to be placated, whatever the cost. I don't want power, I said desperately, clenching my hands so that he should not see them shaking, or only enough so as not to be afraid of people who would destroy us if they had the chance. Didn't you want power over Cleon? Aren't you glad that you can threaten me with poverty unless I'm obedient? It must be amusing to be able to order people's lives, to take away the only happiness they have managed to find, and to do it with a sense of virtue, as a mother takes a toy from a child unmoved by its screams because she believes it might suck off the paint and make itself sick. If you prefer to think I'm only a bully, there's nothing more I can say. But Narcissus, please Narcissus, try to remember that there has been much kindliness between us. I didn't give you things because I wanted you to be dependent. I was so very glad that I hadn't betrayed your confidence, which made you come with me to Rome. I wasn't jealous that I couldn't go out with you and Epicurus, or only very seldom when I thought you didn't understand how very dull it is being alone here all day, how very tired I get of trying to make people have the courage to see things as they really are, instead of as they would like them to be. Won't you believe in me? His face softened. I would find it easy to believe in the Lucina I knew in Elysium, if she would again have the charity to let her intimates live their own lives. You mean you will either see me and Marcus or neither? You will go on loving him even if it means going away and never seeing me again? You overrate me, Lucina. I shall give up Marcus if you demand it, not because I love you more than him, but because I'm too lazy to give up my comforts. He's dependent on his father, who no longer welcomes me to his house. I can't alter my decision, and I can't tell you why, for at least I have never betrayed the secrets told to me as his priest. But please don't hate me, Narcissus. I shall be even more lonely if you hate me. I don't hate you, he said sardonically. I love the man in you and seek it in other men. I only hate the woman whom I taught to copy the female I despise in myself. So that was chapter 8. Chapter 9 is Nigellus. Greece and Rome, 2nd century BC.